everybody, it's Jeanette Wilde, and yet another piece of our series on building our Titanic junk journal using the gorgeous pages collection of Titanic from Relative History. I'm also going to be using papers from Thoughtful Studios Seaside kit today as well, so you can purchase those papers from the Relative History site. She's the official distributor for Thoughtful Studio. So today, or this session, we are going to be working with this piece here. Get that out of the way. Let's just quickly, I'll flip through this particular signature. This one I have, this is actually the bottom piece of another page, or top piece, I think. So cut it off strategically, if you will, to have the pieces that I liked, and then folded here where this nice little line gave me a perfect place to fold, so it fits right there. This is an envelope, big envelope, and I just folded it not completely in half, so that one side was a little bit longer, just so that I had one little bit difference when you go through and don't see the same thing over and over. I like that. Okay, and then this is paper from a pretty big padded paper that I have. It's kind of, I wouldn't say like really old, but it's old enough that it's yellowed a little bit, but it's not fragile. It's nice, good, solid weight paper. And then this is a page, it's the index for an atlas that I have. And I don't know, I like, it's an index to an atlas, and you might not know unless you looked at it and really focused that that's what it is, but I like it. And then we have some music pages and another of the pages from it's a plain, I think it's like a sketchbook, but it's pretty big. And then continuing, of course, repeat. And then there's the other side of the envelope and the other side of the scrapbook page. So again, we're going to focus on these two guys. Now, again, I really love having these little bits, but because, once you put a number of pieces into your signature, with this being on the outside, it's just going to naturally want to flip up. So again, I'm going to, anchor it and hold it down using an element on the envelope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using quite a bit of my manila folder. And you can see this is a bit that's left over. I love using manila folders. It has good weight. And especially for this particular project, it's within my color palette, which I love. So what I'm going to do is up on top, up here, I have these little envelopes, pockets, baggies, whatever you want to call them. And he's going to go up here. Okay, and then down below, I'm going to use manila folder to make a pocket and have a little guy to hold this down. And then on the other side, when building a junk journal or my pages in my junk journal, sometimes I just look at a page and or there's something that I want to do, like a certain type of pocket that I like to have in my junk journal, and so I'll find a page that I think that pocket will really work with. Sometimes I have a very specific piece of ephemera, a tag, a picture, something, then I build the page around that. So that is what I'm doing with this one. In the collection, Titanic collection, you will find this little guy. And it's the registration for the Titanic. And I love this. And what's really fascinating about it is that you can see it's been written over, and here kind of repeats what that actually says, and it basically says the registration has been closed because it wrecked. And then the dates of when the registration for the Titanic was closed. So I want to have this. So it's the reason I'm choosing this is because here on this page it kind of has the if I turn it right is where I can see it, the London City Office Navigation Company Limited for the RMS Titanic contract ticket. So I thought having these two kind of together, I like that. Kind of goes nicely together. So what I'm going to do is on this side of the envelope, I'm going to make a pocket again with my manila that this can slide into. And then I still have this pocket here for any other items I want to put in there that might go along with the whole idea of the registration. Okay, so that's my plan for this, again, based off of the combo of this contract ticket and this ephemera piece of registering the Titanic. So, what I have done, through the magic of television, for this pocket down below, so I have my manila envelope, and then this is a piece just cut out from one of the pages from the Seaside collection by Thoughtful Studio to make another pocket. And I used my sewing machine to sew that down so that it makes it a little pocket. And what I've done already is I'm going to use this, it's just a little chipboard piece, a little swivel tag, a little tag. You can use this hanging on something. I'm going to use it as a swivel to hold this shut. So I've already put a little dot where I want that to go, and when it closes, even depending on, you know, even how this ends up getting stuck in my book, as long as it's down here towards the bottom, that will hold it closed, and so it will be like this, and that will hold my page down. Okay, so as long as it's down here towards the bottom, when I sew it, my signature together, that'll hold it closed. And then up here at the top, I have taken one of those little envelopes and I've inked it. And the reason I did that, I don't always ink everything. As you can see, I haven't inked the envelope. I did ink up the scrapbook paper just to give it, you know, so that you can really see it against everything. And the pocket here, don't always, you know, because it takes a lot of time to ink everything. But when I put, let's see, here's one that's not inked. When you put it down, it kind of slightly gets lost, right? I mean, it's not the same color, so it's not completely lost, but close. So you can see the difference. Just a little inking around it really sets it off on the back of this envelope. So you can, yeah. So I did it kind of dark. On this, as I've mentioned before, I have a typewriter that's about 100 years old. And I typed in a whole bunch of little facts about the Titanic to use in my book. And I just like the idea of my book's about a wreck that happened over 100 years ago, and my typewriter's about 100 years old. So I got it like that. So this one, again, I'm talking about the registration of the Titanic, the contract ticket for the Titanic. So I thought something that kind of goes with the beginnings, right? So I have some 100,000 people attended the launch. So that is going to go here on my little envelope. And I have this little sheet of washi tape. So washi doesn't always have to come in a roll, right? See, I got one here nearby. So washi tape, typically, you know, you get it in a roll. But you can get little strips like this. Oftentimes places will put out, oops, sorry about that, that's our doorbell. Hit a pause. Okay, sorry about that. So anyways, you can get samples, and they often come on a sheet like this that you can use. It's a great way to also trade with other people, so that you can get different types of washi, laminate a card, and then just wrap it around, or strips like this. It's great. So I got this from, I belong to Sticky Club, STICKII Club, and I love Sticky Club. It's a really nice price and you get tons of stickers. And this one, of course, is little waves and I just love it. So I'm going to use one of these on my envelope here. Now, because it's washi, some of it's going to get, you know, very see-through. So I'm probably going to use this really dark one so that more of it is seen through there. But it's just an accent. So, and I might use a little bit of leftover strips from ripping up my atlas throughout this junk journal. So a little bit of that too. So that's going to decorate my envelope. And that will be everything that is on this side of this envelope. On the other side, so we turn this, we've got this piece. And like I said, I want to have a pocket here. So I have a little piece of manila. And again, I've taken one of the pages from the Seaside kit. And in the middle of the page is this gorgeous sun. And I thought that was just really, really pretty. So when I put something down, obviously if you're going to sew it, don't put any glue around the edges. You're going to gum up your sewing machine. You don't want that. But I do like it to be anchored onto the page, especially with a big piece like this. So I do glue here in the middle to hold it down and to make sure that it doesn't pucker up in the middle of the page. And then I went around it and sewed it. One thing to note when doing things, sewing on a pocket, is that depending on, let's say I needed to sew somewhere here in the middle, when you put something in, it may catch on the threads. If you're concerned about that, a good thing to do would be to take some really, well, probably the cheapest paper you got, like 80 weight paper that you use for everyday printing in your printer. Sorry, my husband's working in the kitchen. And just glue that to the back, trim off everything, and that will just cover up the stitching so that it doesn't stick, you know, doesn't hit the stitching when you put anything in there. I'm not worried about this one. I don't have anything in the middle. It should go just fine across the stitching there at the top. I need a new sewing machine. But do think about that. Also, another way would be to put, let's say I maybe decided to stitch around the sun just to enhance it a bit. Then I would have, you know, a circle here. Some Scotch tape around it. Just remember that Scotch tape is not archival safe. So eventually it will become brittle and fall apart. But for, you know, the time being, you know, if that doesn't bother you, that works. Washi tape. What I would do in that case is run the washi tape over a glue stick, you know, glue the back of it, because washi tape is meant to be repositionable. So if you really want it to stay and not be curling up or falling off, you put glue in the back of it. So that's another possibility. Or again, just a piece of paper to cover up the stitching. It also ensures that anything that is going past it won't eventually tear up the stitching. So just a little tip on stitching with pockets, and so that will allow me to put that guy in there. And that's what we've got for this. Now, I haven't planned anything at this time for this side, but eventually something will probably go there as well. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll take a look at how it turned out. Be back in a second. Okay, before putting down this pocket, so I've got my little envelope, put a few little guys on there, and I've got my pocket adhered. But before I put this one down, I want to show you, I added a little word here, remember, and how I made this sticker And what I've done is, for this set, I used a overhead projector sheet and ran it through my printer. You can also use vellum, and the transparent look is what I was going for here. As you can see, it's transparent. If you don't want transparent, obviously you can just do this on a regular piece of paper, but I like the transparent look. If you do it on vellum, it will have that kind of milky cream color. And all I did was opened a text document, Word document, whatever program you use, and I just typed in. So I just thought of every word. I mean, I have a ton of these guys because I just typed and typed and typed and typed and typed a whole bunch of words in, and used a number of different fonts. And so you can see this one, I don't know if you'll be able to see that very well, but it's kind of the font was like old-timey typewriter, and one that apparently has some flaws to it. It's a little off and everything, but I really like that font, and of course I think it works really well with the book. And this one I used, this is like a saying, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. So I also got a bunch of quotes, travel the world over to find the beautiful, bunch of quotes and stuff I just found and just typed them in. So this one uses a little bit of a swirly font. And again, just filled up the page, words, sayings, quotes, and then printed it out on this, like I said, is an overhead projector sheet. Then I ran that whole sheet through my Xyron. So I have a number of different sizes of Xyrons, but I have one that takes full sheets of paper. And so I just ran it through my Xyron. That puts adhesive on the back, and you have a sheet that covers up the adhesive. And then I used my scissors and just went through and cut them all out. And I didn't worry too much about how I cut them because they're clear, so you don't necessarily see how bad or how straight you cut them. And that gave me a whole bunch of little stickers that I can use for sayings, words, like here, I remember. Right, perfect. And since I made them myself, they're words that fit with what I'm doing. They're in the fonts that I like, the size that I wanted, and I can go back in. I saved the file. If I want a whole bunch with slightly larger font size, I just up the font size, print it, run it through my Xyron. I have a whole nother set. So it's really, you don't have to spend the money to buy it. I know there's a lot of sheets out there that have these kinds of things. You don't have to spend the money, make it yourself. Excuse me. So here, I'm going to put my brad on. So let me grab my brad. Where are you at? Oh, there it is. All right. So when I do brads, I have this really thick piece of felt, really thick and dense, so that nothing goes through and gets on my desk. I've already made a little point where I want the hole for my brad. And this is a brad setter. It's by We Are Memory Keepers. On one end, it's the pokey tool. On the other end is the brad setter. And I'm not entirely certain why the end is all bent and everything. I don't know if I did that or if it comes like that. It doesn't hurt anything, so there we go. Make a little hole. I can get rid of the felt and drop something. Just another little thing. I keep, we get these little desserts that come in these little glass jars, and I keep every one of them. And they make great, so when I was sitting here working, I just put all my little bits in, and then I'm not losing them as I'm working. So I love that. So I have a ton of these all over the place. Put my brad in. Now, the brad setter is quite nice. It will, all you have to do is put it on the tip and push, and it will open it for you. And you can rock back and forth, and then you can use the flat side to squish it down. Okay. Now, given that this is kind of, it's got a, you know, pokey to it, you might want to put, you know, a piece of tape over it. So I'm going to just take a piece of washi tape, maybe a couple layers, doesn't really matter. All I'm doing is just keeping it from really sticking up a lot, so that when something goes in and out of my pocket, it's not catching too badly on that. So I put a little glue on my washi and down it goes. But it shouldn't, because this is almost to the bottom of the pocket, so it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so now I just need to adhere my pocket, and I'm using the Glue It bookbinding glue pen flare, and you can get this on the Relative History website, and it has become my absolute favorite glue. I had just the tubs, and I was using those bookbinding, put my books together. I really love it for putting cloth down on my covers. Let's see, where do I want that? About like that. There we go. Okay. But recently got them in the little squeeze bottle here and started using it to do things like this, adhere down pockets, and I love it. It is very strong, and it sets relatively quickly. You still have a little time to wiggle things around. That works really well. So you can get this off the Relative History website. Okay, so that should be it. We have this. We have our little swivel, which holds that down. And like I said, depending on where I end up, get these a little more lined up, depending on where I put the envelope. Oops, let's actually put it in the signature like it's supposed to be. There we go. Depending on where I put the envelope, then I can put this where I want it, and then I have a nice swivel, and this won't be quite so tight. Might have put it a little too far over. Oh no. So I might have to trim this guy down again, but luckily I have room there to trim. So, and then this is going to swivel closed and hold that shut. Okay, and then flipping this way, I have my pocket where I can put my little registration page. It's a nice little dedicated pocket, and I still have a pocket here. Now I might add some more little images, bits here, but for now, that is this page done. And like I said, I love using these little guides, because when you finish with all the decorating and putting in the elements of your book, you end up, like for instance, here, to put this page in, I had to cut off the top and the bottom. I got these strips. Back this maybe with a little cardstock or manila folder that's left over, and that's going to fit perfectly into this little pocket. So I love using these little pockets because the little bits left over fit really nicely in there. So that's our page this time. So again, go check out the Relative History webpage. The Titanic collection is just wonderful. Also Thoughtful Studio, which we used today, the Seaside Kit. And you can get that from the Relative History website as well. So next time we will continue on with our junk journal. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please message me if you have any questions, and we'll get back to you. Anything you need, and again, Relative History, go check it out. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.